Hi everyone, my name is Taryn with Quest, and welcome to the end of our PeopleSoft week for Quest Digital Forum event. So today's speaker is Joe with Oracle, and he's going to be presenting on top design tips for implementing great digital assistants and chatbots for Oracle applications. So a few housekeeping notes to go over before we get started. All attendee lines are in mute and will stay in mute throughout this session. If you do have any questions, please feel free to put those into the question drop-down box, and we'll be answering those at the end of today's session. So I'm going to hand it over to Joe, who will get things started.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you, Terrace. And good morning, well, I think everyone is probably good afternoon or maybe even good evening now. My name is Joe Huang, and I'm part of the Oracle Digital Assistant team. And I'm really glad to be able to talk to you about the Oracle Digital Assistant and sharing some of the top design tips for implementing great digital assistant and chatbot. Instead of just talking about a bunch of principles, how to build a good conversational user experience, what I'm hoping to do is to do some demos of the techniques or template that we have that can help you to build a really good conversation design and also some of the general techniques, something more concrete. These samples and also the techniques I'm going to talk about, they're actually available from our from Oracle, and I'm going to go through it and show what those are very shortly. Okay. All right. So first of all, what exactly is digital assistant? Now, I just spoke with 3 of my colleagues in a session that concluded maybe just an hour and a half ago on the Oracle Speaks. We talked about a few skills that the different teams like PeopleSoft and JD Edwards is building for digital assistant. So apologies if you're seeing a couple of slides that are duplicates, but I promise there's not going to be much of a duplicate content. But I just want to set a grounding in case there's some new participants in the call. So exactly, what is digital assistant? Digital assistant basically use AI machine learning to combine the different chatbot, and most of you understand the concept of chatbot, combine them into, or we now call them skills, combine them into a digital assistant and into a single conversational user interface that assists the user throughout their day. All right, so that's what digital assistant is. The reason they're really popular is they deliver really natural user experience. No interface is the best interface. No application to download. You can just use whatever messaging application that you're using to deliver that conversational experiences. It's always available and intuitive, and there's a single interface for all of your digital assistant. Okay, exactly what is the digital assistant from a technical standpoint? The best way to think of it is as translator. And what does it translate? Basically, it connects to the backend Oracle applications. Could be on-premise, could be SaaS, and Oracle Digital Assistant is the cloud service that connects to those and then expose the data and the services to the messaging applications such as WeChat, Microsoft Teams, Slack, WhatsApp, and so forth. Another way to think of the Oracle Digital Assistant is that it's a translator that translates what human would type, natural language, or even voice, into an API call that the backend application can understand, and then on the way back, get the data back over from the backend application, again, translate it into text or even voice, where a human will be able to understand from a natural language. There are 4 key components to Oracle Digital Assistant. Briefly touch upon that. The first part is what we call channel configurator. It's the part that actually connects the Oracle Digital Assistant platform to the different messaging applications, be it, again, Slack or Facebook, WeChat, and so forth. It abstracts the differences between these different messaging applications because the messaging applications support different levels of user interactivity and so forth, and also different authentication mechanism. Channel configurator abstract that and makes connecting to these messaging platform really easy. The second part is what we call dialog flow execution engine. that basically allows the digital assistant to carry on a conversation, remember the context, right? So in the last session, I did a quick demo of the employee directory where I say, who is David Bain, right? And digital assistant is able to reply some information about David. Then I asked the question, who is his manager? And it responded with the David's manager. And I didn't have to say who is David's manager. I only have to say is who is his manager. And the reason to remember who he is because of the state engine and dialogue flow engine that allows the digital assistant to carry through an entire conversation. And this is something that is actually very critical and central to designing a great user experience, is designing this dialogue conversation. But it's not the only thing. There's a few other things. Third part is enterprise data integration that connects the digital assistant platform to the backend data services such as PeopleSoft, JD Edwards, and so forth. The fourth part is a conversational AI engine. It's an AI engine that you actually would get to train to allow the digital assistant to train it to understand the what user is asking, and so basically provide a set of examples and which digital assistant is able to leverage and build up the training data, and then the AI engine, the natural language processing engine, would take these training data, then as user put it in input, be able to make best guess at what user is stating. So that's how basically a conversation AI engine does. All right, so I think a lot of you may have some prior exposure to the digital system, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but there are a lot of collaterals, great collaterals and training materials on digital assistant that you can access. One of the key functionality for digital assistant and how it's able to kind of deal with a variety of operations, and also the reason why we're distinguishing digital assistant from just regular chatbot, is this ability to coordinate activities or conversation between different digital skills. So for example, a user may be asking, I want to order a new laptop. That goes to the procurement skill or chatbot to answer the question and carry the conversation. However, what if user just then in the same conversation say, what day do I start my new job? Well, procurement skill is not going to know that. It's going to be in the job offers skill. Digital assistant takes care of routing that request over to the job offers skill seamlessly, right? So another way of calling, what do you call this type of conversation, switching context, is also called non sequitur, right? So digital assistant is key in being able to handle these non sequitur, which is actually more closer to what a natural human conversation is, because we sometimes just go out of context and say something completely different in a conversation. That's pretty common. Going on tangent, for example. All right. So that's what digital assistant skill coordination does. Another key in digital assistant feature is that it supports different type of or styles of conversation. Okay, and support digital system that can execute transactions, can allow it to ask frequently asked questions, can hand off the conversation to a live agent, integrate with Oracle policy automation, or even receive alerts. Okay, this is actually core to design best practices, because with these different styles will map to also different best practices that you may want to consider for building your digital system. All right, so what do I mean by that? The first step really in considering designing your digital assistant is really consider these different starting points, all right? Whether you want to start with a FAQ type of digital assistant, and this is probably the easiest way to get up and running with your first digital assistant or chatbot, is to handle FAQ. We all have a lot of FAQ, so the need is there. And I'm going to show a few examples of that. We actually have a template that can help you with that. However, if you need to then move into more transactional type of conversation styles, then we would recommend a process where you go through the conversation design to handle these more complex scenarios. And we'll talk about that. And then the last thing is also voice capture. All right, and what are best practices if you're using voice? Okay, so first of all, if you do want to create a FAQ digital assistant, the great news is it doesn't take, it just takes maybe a matter of hours, not days or weeks or a month to build. You can typically roll it out in a week or two or less. There's really no coding required, and we actually provide a quick start template for building a production quality FAQ bot. You can see the link here, and so here's a screenshot of the article here. We have a series of articles that we publish through blogs.oracle.com called Text Exchange, and you can access the sample yourselves. All right, so let me, rather than, again, talking about best practices, I'm going to talk about how to build a great FAQ bot just with that template. Okay, first thing is you want to navigate to the blog.oracle.com site, and and then access the article. I think it's this article here, and then you can actually download the digital assistant template. And basically, this template is export of a digital assistant that you can import into your digital assistant environment. I'm not going to do it now because, well, do the live import, export, import, because that takes a little bit of time. I previously had actually imported that template into my digital assistant development environment. What you're seeing on the screen here is basically the environment for building Oracle Digital Assistant. Okay, so I'll go into Digital Assistant. I can see there are a number of things here. When after I exported the, imported the Digital Assistant template, it will show up as Digital Assistant template. I can drill into it and take a look. Okay, for this particular template that allows you to very quickly build FAQs, there are two parts to it, two skills. And as you recall, skill essentially is a chatbot. The first one is a common skill template, and the second is a skill template. Okay, where are those? Let's take a look. All right, so first, the first one is, I'm going to, whoops, typo. Common. Okay. So the first part of the this template is this common skills template, and what you can see is there are a lot of intent that handles common interactions for a FAQ bot. All right, so rather than you training a digital assistant, providing these examples and these intent. Intent basically is what user wants to do in a chatbot. So rather than you having to define all of these different different things that user may be asking in a okay, there's an intent for flirt. That's great. You know, we provide a lot of out of the box support for handle the different type of small talks. Anyway, and also handling swear words and so forth. And so you don't have to redevelop it. So that's the first part. It's able to automatically handle that. The second part is this skill template, what's called a skill template. And if I take a look at here, the skill template is really just a starter template that just have some very simple things. One is just a sample question and answer. And to build a question and start building question and answer, it's actually pretty simple. All right, so I'm going to show you what that looks like using this template. The first thing I need to do is Having some issue with my arrow. Okay, great. Is I'm going to create a copy of the skills template so I can start to modify it. Collaborate. FAQ. Can't type FAQ demo. Okay, now I can start to modify it and I can start to put in my answers, and to start to author FAQ content is actually very simple. First thing I can do is, let me plot my example here. Okay, and then maybe this is an example question and answer, so I'm going to change the name to something else. Let's say I want to create a FAQ for, well, let's say COVID-19, for example. And I think, this is still on top of a lot of our mind with the current pandemic. So I'll just give it a name, call it demo COVID FAQ1. And then for the type of, and then next I want to do is put in a few examples. I'm going to get rid of these existing examples. Okay, and these examples are basically different ways a user may ask a question. So for example, maybe a user, to ask a question around COVID-19 is, well, very simply, what is COVID-19? Or another sample is, how do you define COVID-19? Okay, and let me add a couple of other things just by copy and pasting to make things quicker. So you could see very quickly someone, and this is not technical at all, a business analyst or someone can very quickly create, different example how a user may be asking a question. Then I'm going to provide an answer to this question. And of course, this is probably pretty well known. Again, I'm going to do a copy and paste, right? And that's it. That's how you define a question, and you can start to define more and more questions. And in the interest of time, what I'm going to do is you can also author these question and answers in ahead of time using a CSV file, and in a certain format, then you can just import that. So what I'm, whoops. What I'm going to do is I'm going to import and previously authored a CSV file with a bunch of questions and also answers. That's it, right? And the format I can show you very quickly. It's just a CSV file containing a list of, let's see. Okay, containing a list of the different questions and which intent or which answer it maps to, and then the answer. That's really it. Okay, I can very quickly build that, and it takes literally a few minutes, really, well, maybe a few hours if you have a lot of FAQs to author that. There's also one other intent here called opening time. This is an example where FAQ can also provide dynamic answers. I won't go through this in much detail today, but basically it's also a way through not writing any code to provide an answer. And lastly, but not the least, is there's also a way to handle unresolved intent, and this is actually built in. Right. So, and let's go ahead and see how this works. Now, after I'm done, I need to train it. In the interest of time, I'm not going to do that. Training basically is a process that takes all the sample data and build a model so that the natural language processing engine can then start to process user input. All right, so just like a cooking show, I have the magic of a completed FAQ that I'm going to very quickly show you, right? And again, it's the same FAQs. I also updated the opening time intent, so I can start to ask questions like this: is what is COVID-19? And the first request is a little bit slow. That's a this also takes a little time to warm up, but it shows that this is a live demo. There you go. And that was exactly what I provided earlier. And another thing that I can do is, and I added some opening time for, let's say, a school campus. What are the hours for campus? Let's say for a school. And it can also provide a dynamic answer based on what I'm asking. It can also ask for what are the hours for admissions. As you probably notice, this is a FAQ for a university school. Anyway, so there's a few small talk that I can also interject, just a little bit of the humor into the digital system. All right, so this is really it for the template. I'm gonna close this. One other thing that I want to show you is after I've completed the skill, I added the skill to the digital assistant template, and also I have a completed digital assistant template. Yeah, there you go. And let's examine that very quickly. It has the completed the Collabora FAQ demo skill. It also has the common skills template. The other thing that I have added is, and this template has, is integration with Google search. So that's really cool. All right, so because on the matters that we didn't even program into the digital assistant, it's able to integrate with Google search to get the information back. So at least the user gets something, not just oh, I don't know what you're talking about type of answer. All right, so let's do a quick test of the digital assistant. Now what I've done is I've connected the digital assistant. Oh, I hope this is still okay. I have connected the digital assistant, and I want to quickly introduce this concept of channels. I've connected the digital assistant to a channel, and channel basically is a way, if you can, if you recall, a way to abstract the connection to the different client. I have a mobile application that I've connected to that particular channel, and I'm going to publish this FAQ digital assistant, and I'll test it live using using this mobile application here that they're connected to this digital assistant. And the first thing I need to do is just rewire rewire the channel to talk to the digital system I just completed. Collaborate FAQ. There you go. Okay, it's as easy as that. I'm going to reset sessions. All right. And now I'm going to switch to my digital assistant and start asking questions. Same question to start, the same one I had before. Let's see. I would say this is actually FAQ related to university. So I can say, is the campus still open? Okay, then it connects to the digital system I've just created and handle that question. I can also ask what is COVID-19? All right. So you could see the whole process didn't take literally just minutes. I created and asked some questions and created a channel for it, exposed it to the client. In this case, it's a mobile app, and it also could be a web browser site or other messaging application like Facebook Messenger and so forth. All right. One other thing quickly I'm going to show is what if I ask something that wasn't really handled by the digital assistant. So I didn't have any question on, I didn't really put in any answer to this question, which is what is the current status of lockdown in California due to COVID-19. Whoops. All right, I swear I didn't put in that question. And what happens is, what happens is, well, actually this matches pretty well. What is the, how about just some random question of sparrow? Okay, well, it's not working as you could tell for some reason. Okay, well, let's move on. This is always fun doing a little live demo, and then things are not working, but I'll debug further on what exactly happened. Actually, what I can do now is move on to my next demo. Okay, now next thing is, okay, beyond building a simple FAQ, what is the then what is the next step? What if you need to build a more complex digital system that can handle transactions? That's where you really need to think about how to design your conversation and conversation experience. Just like when you design the I'm not sure why. Okay, not sure why the preview is still showing the. Okay, let me stop. Sorry, let me stop sharing. You should be just seeing the. Huh. Okay, that's very strange. Not even sure if anyone saw my demo. I'm going to, Terrence, I'm going to ask for help. Are you seeing the slide going beyond FAQ, or are you seeing a browser? Okay, okay. In the preview, in the GoToMeeting preview pane, I'm still seeing my browser.
Oh yeah, I think it might. Yeah, we're seeing the correct screen. Yeah, it's been going smoothly.
Okay.
So yeah, we're good.
Okay, good. All right, so now going back to the discussion, once you have, okay, if you need to go beyond FAQ, which you can see there's an easy template where you could use and start to leverage right away. If you need to have a more, have a digital system that handles more complex scenarios, then our recommendation is really to go into to design your conversation. And because, as we said, the conversation really doesn't design by itself. For that, we actually offer a both in terms of material, but also as something that we can run as a conversation design workshop. Even if, let's say, you're not running it in the format that we provide, we highly recommend you to always think about and build a conversation design, build your conversation with a design that engage your user using these principles. And these design workshops are designed to be a series of engaging sessions that design the digital assistant for your immediate need. It is not specific to Oracle Digital Assistant. It's not specific to a platform. Any digital assistant, this could be used potentially with any chatbot, right? And our recommended participant are people like the digital strategy owner, contact center managers, basically line of business users who's going to manage and who knows the end user very well, not the developers. And this workshop follows a methodology in this following a manner, right? It goes into the discovery, introduction, defines the goals, defines the users, and then define the user journey map. Basically, user journey map are the different functionalities the user wants to hit for a particular user persona. Goes into which channel you need to expose the digital assistant. Then it goes through a conversation or dialogue design exercise, right? And this is very critical. Rather than going in and trying to develop a digital system or chatbot, you really should be going through a conversation design, right? And here's an example of a workshop of dialogue design. Basically, a lot of times when we do the in-person workshops, we just use sticky notes, right? Now, however, and then going into the conversation design workshop, we typically ask the line business users to identify who the existing persona is, what are the current pain points, and end user feedback, and if applicable, if the customer has an existing call center or contact center, then an existing conversation flow and a set of conversation flow and also a conversation log, so that these will be great starting point for a chatbot, right? And the outcome for these type of conversation design workshop is to create something that adds value to the user and business. It demonstrates the output in the format of a digital assistant, and also it gives the your user guidance on where to move to in terms of moving to a pilot. And we have again been running this conversation design workshop with a lot of our customers for a while. Traditionally, it's been an in-person workshop. However, we have turned this into a virtual workshop, and that's can be conducted online. But because it's online, we have broken these sessions into the different parts. Now, I want to share this slide so that you'll be able to basically capture these basic steps. And also, I'm more than glad to share all the materials that we have around how we work with our end customers to help them design conversation, so that you can also potentially take this and design your own conversations. Now, one of the great tools for designing conversation is also to mock up a conversation, and this is also where digital assistant can help. So let me do a very, very quick demo of a conversation designer, that within Oracle Digital Assistant, that will be able to help prototyping the outcome of the conversation design workshop. So I'm going to create a new skill here. It's called a pizza demo bot collaborate. And I'm going to quickly create a dialogue for ordering pizza, right? So I click on the skill bot, I enter a skill name called order pizza. So this is our conversation designer. And the way that conversation designer works is that it basically is driven by an example, right? So for example, a user here may be asking, I want to order a pizza. And you can see that right away, the digital assistant dialogue designer is smart enough to know that this is a statement issuing intent. Intent, again, basically what user wants to do. In this case, user wants to order a pizza. So automatically classifies this user message as a intent utterance. Great. And what should bot design? Sure. What kind? And user in this case can say, well, I want a pepperoni pizza. Pepperoni. Right? And then in this case, it's correctly classifies that pepperoni is an entity. Entity is basically a keyword you want to extract out of the utterance. And the next thing is bot may need to know, okay, what size, right? But in this case, we actually want the user to pick a different size. So I would then change the message type to an action. Basically, is it's basically a statement that requires a user input or action. So I can say, okay, the options are small, mediums, and large. That's it. All right, next, let's say I pick small. I'm not really terribly hungry today, but that's fine. I recognize it a choice. And the next thing is, okay, that's all the information I need. Your pizza is on the way. Okay, that's it. That's all the conversation. I can do a quick preview of your of the work. So again, and as you go through conversation design workshop, and you can very quickly use this tool to mock up your conversation so that the end user or line of business user can very quickly see what the outcome is like. Okay. So, okay, I get a sense of the conversational experience. Great. And now next thing I may want to do is go ahead and generate the skill. So in this case, it's actually generate all the necessary code and the YAML conversation design and also intent associated with this digital assistant. I need to train it and I'm done. Okay. I'm done. And then I can go ahead and actually test it at this point. Say I want to order a, well, actually, in this case, I'm going to, rather than just going through the conversation, I'm just going to test in a different way. I'm going to say I'm going to order a large pepperoni pizza. And digital assistant is smart enough to go all the way to the end because it has the size, has the type, and has an intent. Okay, so again, the conversation designer gives you a quick way of mimic and mock up and actually a working conversation and give you a quick starting point after you have completed the conversation design workshop. And also, at this point, let's talk about and share some tips for building a great digital assistant and a chatbot, right? And what are the main differences between the just a good bot and an amazing digital assistant or chatbot? The first tip that we have is, well, first of all, think of your digital assistant's personality, right? And what you put in, maybe the images and the icon and the tone of the digital assistant represents your brand. So, for example, one of the things that is you want to provide a conversation that's engaging. You do want to decide who is your digital assistant persona, whether it's formal, whether it's hip, or you know, give the name or avatar. Not necessarily a human. Human, you don't want to give them an expression that it's actually human. Give a positive introduction. Consider the voice and tone of your brand, and also think about the word that you use. So, for example, this example, you neglected to supply the information. Well, that sounds kind of rude. You know, it's just the tone and the voice is quite important in terms of delivering a good user experience. So, for example, let's flip over to here. So a good example of a chatbot with a little bit of personality is this chatbot built using Oracle Digital Assistant. This is a chatbot for university in Australia, Tasmania. They have given the digital assistant a personality, a avatar, Mumford. Mumford happened to be that school's mascot. And as you can see, it gives a bit of a personality to the digital assistant, so the student using this digital assistant can feel more related to it. Doesn't feel quite as robotic as you know, just replying in digital system as a chatbot. Okay. And the second tip that we have is making sure that understanding that the digital assistant is not human, but you can still give it a human-like qualities. What do we mean by that? Basically, one of the first important thing is that let your user know digital assistant is not human, right? And because if people know it's a digital assistant or a bot, the expectations are set accordingly. You know, if you talk to a human being and couldn't understand certain things, you're going to be pretty upset, right? But if you know it's just a digital system that requires some training, the user experience, the expectation is much better. Also, one tip is to keep your message short and readable, very responsive. We have a few tips and actually a few example how you would do that. So if user asks the same question, you don't give them the same response. You can vary the response a little bit, or vary the greeting. Also, don't be afraid to verify understanding. You can just say, I'm sorry, can you please repeat the question, or give them the choice of, okay, maybe sounds like you're asking A or B. Also, don't overdo empathy or humor. I mean, that's you know, after all, this is digital assistant. Don't try to go hard, right? We all understand this is a pretty common sense. And another thing is be able to hand off a user to a human being or live agent if it's needed. Okay, so one example is, I think it's for this digital assistant is that follows this principle is this chatbot or digital assistant from ComEd. And again, ComEd is a utility company based in Chicago, serves about 4 million customers. And their digital assistant arrows is disappearing. Sorry. There we go. All right. Right away, you notice that it greets the user whenever I open the chat window with a list of things that I can do, which is great because you immediately give user guidance on what to do. But the other thing is you're also seeing the greetings, you're chatting with Conversational automated assistant, so user knows right away that this is a chatbot, not a live person. So a user would be, so the end user would set their expectation accordingly. Right. Third principle is offer guidance and help, and also include human help if needed. The and one of the things that's always difficult, actually getting started, is if you just start give user a digital assistant. Well, let me put it this way. How do I start a conversation with a digital assistant? That's the $1 million question. If you just give user a blank entry text box for them to type something in, user is not going to magically know what digital assistant can do, right? So it's not always very clear how the conversation gets started. So the digital assistant should always give a guidance on what service it can support. Also, the other thing is that it's important to use quick reply to indicate the most common options, and also offer some sort of help or just restart the conversation if needed. And also another key thing is offer a human help via handoff as required. So going back to the example here, you can see that right away, when I initiate a conversation, digital assistant give me a list of things that I can ask. And for example, I can say, I want to know ways to save, and it guides me through a set of questions I can ask. And I can go ahead and apply for rebate. And this is also a really good best practice, is also asking for feedback at the end of the conversation. All right. Another thing that this digital assistant does, it has integration with a live agent chat. So if any point in time I would say I want to talk to a live agent, let's say if there's any live agent actually available. Oh, hey, there you go. It does have integration. However, currently the live agent is not available. But even for this example, it can integrate with a live agent. Now, how does that actually work? And let me just quickly show you an example of a live agent integration. Okay. All right. So on the right side of the screen, sorry. On the right side of the screen, I have a demo of a chat client, a chat bubble. That provides customer service for this demo fictitious company called Supremo Fitness, right? And then on the left here, my arrow keeps disappearing. I'm acting as a call center live agent, and this is actually the Service Cloud live agent chat window. So how does the live agent integration actually works? Is this, all right? So let's say here I may be asking a question, you know, my heart rate monitor is not working. Whoops. Monitor not working, sorry. Yeah, and ask me for which model. The arrow keeps disappearing, sorry. And then ask a follow-up question. Are the machine located near the shower facility? Say yes. Unfortunately, that's the only place I can put it. And gives them an explanation why that's an issue. Moisture could build up And do you also want to file a support ticket? Say yes. So right away, this digital assistant not only gives me the answer, but also allow me to create an SR. However, what if there's a more complex issue that the digital assistant cannot handle, or there's certain issue you really want a live human to answer? So I can, for example, if want to cancel my contract, all right? If that's the case, right, then the digital assistant can be set up to hand the conversation off to a live agent. So here I'm going to log back in to a live agent and accept the call. So now I'm the live agent. I see Jose Antonio has initiated a chat. I say accept, and then a conversation handed off to the call agent. The agent can also see the conversation history of what has been said. I can see, okay, this person is talking about a heart rate monitor is not working. Then I can respond from this point on as a live agent. Hi, sorry to hear that. I can help you with that. Okay, then you can see on the right side, what customer can see is previously the conversation was handled by the chatbot. Now it's being taken over by live agent. It's just a direct chat between the live agent and the digital assistant. When live agent terminates the conversation, then the chatbot can take over, back up, right? So that's another great tip for building your digital assistant. If you have a live agent system, definitely consider integrating with your live agent system. And the good news with Oracle Digital Assistant is we have out-of-the-box integration for Oracle Service Cloud. However, we can also integrate with Zendesk, ServiceNow, or what is it? Salesforce service. All of these we can integrate with that as well. All right. Fourth tip, it really has to do with the fact that, well, chatbot carries a conversation. It's not really a form. So, so the important thing to remember, and I don't have a demo to show, but it's just a general principle that rather than, when you design a digital assistant or chatbot, rather than using your website as a starting point, which is a really bad idea, start fresh from looking at what you want the conversation design, the conversation experience to be. Your conversation experience shouldn't be to mimic your website, okay? Because you can easily end up with kind of IVR type of digital system where you say, do one for this, two for this, right? And also, the other reason is, well, on a website, you can typically put a lot of these different field in a web form. Well, to replicate that doesn't really give you a great conversation. Instead, looking at what exactly the common things a user wants to do, and then guide the user through it and automate maybe filling out a lot of these fields, or there's some default, maybe using the location information from the messaging application of devices, right? So it really needs to take a step back and consider what the conversation design experience should be from the ground up, rather than trying to mimic your site. And that's why we recommend the conversation design workshop that really takes and starts from your business goals and users, rather than starting from, oh, what is your existing website for doing X? The other thing which is interesting is, well, don't be afraid to provide a little guidance to your user and limit where things can go wrong, the surface area for errors, right? So you can see this snow shoveling. I'm glad it's summer now. And so basically guide the user to make the right decision, right? So indicate what the user is expecting, guide a conversation back to a happy path if the user goes off rails and asks something else. Avoid open-ended questions, because with open-ended questions, you're going to get open-ended answers that digital system or bot is going to have problem understanding. At the end of the day, there's no magic here. You still have to train the digital system to understand what user is saying and provide the answer. So the more that you can focus the user on what needs to be accomplished, really the better. And also use verb and pronouns, say, are you sure you want to process this transaction? Ask for a confirmation, and also consider use of quick replies or carousels. Now there are a few examples for that. First, I'm going to show you this example. Okay, and this is actually going to be example. Again, live digital assistant built using Oracle Digital Assistant. This is a Facebook Messenger site by PLDT. PLDT stands for Philippines Long Distance Telco. It's basically the AT&T equivalent for Philippines, right? So I can just start engaging by saying hi. Okay. Of course, I was testing previously. So right away, even when the session ended, right, I can say, it gives you site guidance. Okay, type menu. Okay, fine. I'll type menu, and it gives me a few introduction. So again, best practice, knows that I'm talking to a digital assistant, and this is disclaimer. But then it gives me these cards that let me know right away what digital assistant can do. View balances, report a payment, fixed broadband, fixed landline, reporting question, and asking a question, right? Then I can just basically follow these options and give guidance. And now here's asking for account number. Well, I don't really know how to find my account number. Again, this gives me a guidance on how to find my account number. Click show me. It gives me a little hint on where to find my account number, and I can go ahead and proceed with that, right? So this digital assistant can, of course, understand what I say, and it will do exactly the same thing. So all the natural language processing engine and utterances is still there. It still understands that. It's just that the difference is it's able to it's able to also give user guidance along the way. Okay. And the last thing, but not the least, here's the bonus, is also be able to fail gracefully, and or at least try your best and capture the feedback. We actually have a great article, and on the screen here, where we show you a sample of capturing feedback. So in the digital assistant I showed earlier, there's at the end of the conversation, you always want to capture user feedback to see if it come back correctly or not. So we have template to actually help you to do that. Okay, the last thing but not the least, and I'm going to go through this very quickly because I'm running short on time, but I'm almost done, is talking about using voice, right? And this is true whether you're using voice assistant like Alexa, or Oracle now has our own voice to text engine. Now, first, you may be wondering why we're building our own voice to text engine. It's really because we want to ensure our customer has all the privacy and security that Oracle guarantees in terms of GDPR compliance, FedRAMP compliance, and enterprise security integration. We're also able to train the AI voice engine to understand the enterprise terminology. So if you have industry-specific terminology that common voice assistant can't understand, we can train it to really understand that. What does the voice looks like, and what is our capability, right? I'm going to do a quick example of how digital assistant voice works. So if I can see where my okay, that's fine. Okay. All right, so this is just a quick demo of the voice being able to capture a complex set of instructions. In this scenario, it's in the hospital, doctors dictating patient conditions, and maybe it's difficult for the doctor or the nurse to use a keyboard in these situations. And this is where a voice would be very helpful and useful. So I'm going to start with this. I'm only going to do a couple of these samples. Emily Brady's condition has gotten worse. Her symptoms are critical. She's short of breath and she's still coughing. Her fever has also increased to 103.8. I'm recommending to put her on a ventilator. Oh. Well, there you go. There's the fun of a live demo. Let me try it again. Actually, let me see. I wonder if this is, I have too many of these screens open. This is the fun of having a live demo. Okay, I will try it again, and I think I'm having some network connectivity issues. Emily Brady's condition has gotten worse. Her symptoms are critical. She's short of breath, and she's still coughing. Her fever has also increased to 103.8, and I'm recommending her to put her on a ventilator. Oops. Okay, well. Shortness of breath. 103.8. 103.8. Yes. Ventilator. Ventilator. Whoops. Ventilator. Okay, I'm having some problem with, there you go. See, that's ventilator. All right, so it's actually, this is a device problem, but you get the, but actually I can just pick on it. Yes. Okay, let me just try one more thing and we'll, having some voice issues because I'm using microphone for a lot of things. John Smith's condition has gotten worse. His symptoms are critical. He's short of breath and still coughing. 101.2. 101.2. No. Okay, so clearly I'm having some problem with my microphone, and hopefully in a real hospital, this works better. All right, going back to best practices, and I'll wrap up in a couple minutes. So things to consider when designing for voice. The most important thing to remember when you design for voice is it's all text driven. There's no UI in forms. So you need to provide the question and format in such a way that it's easy to understand. Concise replies, and because wordy reply are really hard to follow in a pure voice channel. If you're using voice to text, so in other words, when you need to read back, you can consider techniques to alter voice based on answers. We actually have an article that talks about how to alter different feedback in voice based on the answers. Also security. I think at this point, we don't have a point where we have a reliable voice authentication security mechanism, right? So when you design for these channels, voice would be used still for in places where authentication is not critical or may be used in enterprise internal usage. We are working on voice authentication, but right now it's not available. That's on the roadmap. We also obviously optimize the voice utterances for the skills that we deliver. That's just something that we work on. But however, you, the customer, will be able to train provide the training data for voice as well shortly. All right, just to quickly summarize, what are the key things that we provide? We provide out of the skill box, skills and template. Well, we provide a lot of these things, but what I'm hoping is that at least you get a general sense of what are some of the best practices that's first built into what we deliver in the platform, but also some of the design practices that we have. Always start with a conversation design workshop, the 6 design principles that I demonstrated, and the different articles that helps you to achieve that best practice. And if you want to learn more, certainly feel free to go to oracle.com/DA. That's where our product information are and where you can also get more information. And also see an additional demo and ways to try out the service. With that, apologies for running a few minutes over, but thank you so much. This is my email here. I'm glad to be able to talk about design best practices to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Joe. And we don't have any questions that come in, but a quick reminder that this session was recorded and it will be on the Quest content library at a later date, but it's available on demand on the Quest go-to stage. So thanks again, Joe, for coming and speaking with everyone and giving us a live demo. It was great. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, and it's been fun, and with a lot of demos, most of them went right, but it's really my pleasure to talk to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All
Everyone
right.
have a great weekend.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.